Hey guys, I'm Katie.
And I'm Alexis, and this is the Check Your Aesthetic podcast. Hey.
Hey, I feel like there's always an awkward amount of time between us saying, hey guys, I'm Katie, or me saying, hey guys, I'm Katie, and you saying, and I'm Alexis, and I always cut it. I think you cut it too. Don't you edit it?
No.
Well, maybe, I don't know. I'm just it's always
well, I think that I think because actually this past week was the first time that I had besides editing the podcast was the first time that I had listened back to an episode post.
We hate our own podcast and we don't listen.
We are not fans. But no, I think while you're recording it sounds so much more awkward. And then when you're listening to it, I guess in a way, I know when I don't know, maybe I have a different perception of it, but when I was listening back, I'm like, wow, this sounds a lot less weird than it feels.
Well,
not that it feels weird talking to you, but
no, but I think as podcast hosts, especially with when guests are on, you're always thinking
yes.
one step ahead. So yes. I feel like that is part of why it feels weird. Also, I have started drinking Celsius, and to be completely honest, I've talked to Alexis about it. This stuff is crazy.
It's crazy.
It's truly crazy. But I was drinking one while I was driving the other day, and I was like, it kind of looks like I'm
drinking
a hard seltzer and driving. This looks like a hard seltzer. It looks like a White Claw. Anyway, if you guys like Celsius, let me know what your favorite flavor is, because I've tried, what have I tried? Kiwi, guava, strawberry guava, and orange. And to me, orange is not the best. It tastes like medicine, but I like the other two. So in case anybody wanted my opinions on.
I just this week have started drinking, I want to say they're Aspire, but with an A. I might be wrong, but they're the same thing.
That's the word aspire. You aspire to, yeah.
Wow, dumb. Literally
aspire.
Aspire, yeah. Okay, now that I think about it in a writing sense, yeah, to aspire. Wow, literal moron, idiot. I was thinking inspired. No. Just no. But do you think Celsius is more well, have you ever tried that?
No, but do you want to know what really sold me on the Celsius? One is that it's trendy. So that always will get me.
Oh my
but
God.
Two, well, if something like this, if everybody's drinking it, then you know it's good. Everybody wouldn't be drinking it if it didn't taste good. But also yes. it says that it burns body fat.
Oh, she be skinny.
I'm I don't know if that's really happening.
You
but
just sold me on
it. Says that it accelerates your metabolism and burns body fat. And if I can do that while I'm sitting, I'm going to do it.
Okay, maybe I'm making the switch, but no, I struggle with caffeine so much. When I have if I have a coffee, I am straight
well, I get hit by the caffeine really quickly, and then it comes down really quickly. So I try to drink them slower. But speaking of energy, we need to talk about what we've both been doing for lunches this week, because it's good. And
okay, that was my influence, I want to say.
You are literally so annoying about taking credit for things. The other day I made a meme and sent it in the group chat with Kennedy and Alexis, and it was Alexis's idea for the meme, but I didn't feel like I needed to say it was Alexis's idea, because I was sending it in so they would remind me. And Alexis goes, haha, that was my idea. I was like, yeah, it was.
No, I was more direct than that. I wasn't haha, it was my idea. I was yes, thank you. I had such
you were thank you, that was my idea. It's really funny. I was
yeah, you should have given credit. Wow, stealing ideas.
I'm stealing your idea to eat lunch. Anyway, do you want to talk about your idea? Your revolutionary lunch? Y'all are gonna be shocked. You better start taking notes. This one's shocking.
I was thinking about how sometimes midday I get hungry, so I came up with this. I came up with this great idea of eating lunch.
No, literally though, like
basically.
neither of us eat lunch. Like I would let myself get like to the point where I was so hungry because I just did not want to cook myself lunch. But now we've hacked it.
Me gatekeeping you eating lunch. That's literally what's happening. But no, I made a video about it. Go check it out. It's me making 5 like meal prepped meals basically, but they're
Just kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like a snacky lunch or like a little like lunch box with like some an adult lunchable situation. But it's just so much like for somebody who works from home, you feel like you don't need to like quote meal prep or anything because like you're just going to be in your house, but stopping to like actually make a meal or go pick up a meal for lunch really sometimes it's just not a reality. So yeah, I stole the idea from Alexis. God forbid. Good Lord.
TM. Lunch TM.
And I bought like a bunch of random things that I like. So I got like some smoked salmon, some turkey, those little like baby bell cheese things, which I could eat 15 of those in one sitting. And like just some crackers and like, I don't know, pickles.
Oh, I do have an update about my one from my video.
Oh, okay.
I did not think about, well, I kind of had this theory and then I was like, we're just going to see how this goes. I put nuts, like flavored nuts in the same container as turkey.
Oh.
And literally, it was yesterday, I literally just had to throw out the nuts because the nuts were straight up like squishy. Like, yeah. So just think about like, cause I had the forethought of like, okay, well, I shouldn't put like salami in the same one as like my strawberries because I don't want some strawberry like flavor or like salami flavored strawberries. But I didn't think about the moisture levels. So think about that when you're cultivating.
Alexis is literally the lunch expert, so you better listen. Alexis literally like invented lunch. So
lunch TM.
Yeah, but it's been great for me and it's been making me actually eat lunch, which is awesome because before I literally just wasn't eating lunch and I would just like literally starve myself until like 4 p.m. on accident. And then I would get really hungry and then I would eat dinner at 5 p.m. And then when you eat dinner at 5 p.m., you know you're going to be snacking, which is not
good. And like part of my problem is I would like, because I'll eat breakfast sometimes when I like feel like it, but that's not a consistent thing for me. So then it would be like 3 p.m. I've had a full day of working or school or whatever I have. And I start seeing literal stars and feeling like I'm going to pass out because I'm like low blood sugar. And then I said this in my TikTok, but like I run to the kitchen and like make dino nuggies. And that was starting to become like a consistent thing where I'm like rushing to the kitchen. Like
I know. And then you're like eating so much and you're like eating while you're like making your food. I did the exact same thing. Yeah. But do you want to go ahead and tell everybody who the guest is today since Alexis, don't worry guys. Alexis also found this guest.
Thank you.
This whole episode is sponsored by Alexis.
This is what I've been asking.
I would be nowhere without Alexis. Like, to be completely honest, like, I think I would be dead in a ditch.
I mean, honestly, truly.
Anyway.
You have me to thank for everything.
Literally everything.
Literally. But, okay, that sounds like I'm not excited for other guests. I've been very excited. I think we've been low-key killing it with the guests recently. But I'm super excited about this guest because she is a SCAD alum. We have this thing at SCAD called Guest and Gusto, which is low-key kind of a stupid name, but it's a great thing that happens at SCAD where they have alumni come and just give like talks about their career or their entrepreneurial like ventures. And Brittany, I believe she'll tell us in that we haven't recorded the interview yet, so we don't know what exactly she'll say, but in my Guest and Gusto interview that we had at SCAD that I attended, she talked to us about how her time at SCAD kind of influenced her career and ended up she created her business Ani+Co, which is a ecologically friendly candle business. She also works, I believe, full-time, potentially part-time as a fashion tech designer, which I think is so cool.
Yeah,
and I know
I'm excited
that
to hear about that.
Yeah, and I know that SCAD influenced that a lot. Obviously, I believe that her major was some way related to fashion. But she also, I think, in the interview that I listened to, she talked a lot about just kind of like managing her time and managing running a business while also working full time, which I think is like, I mean, we've talked about that so much on the podcast in general, but I think that's such an interesting thing to hear from different people and like different perspectives. But absolutely. Yeah, so obviously we don't know what the content is quite great yet, because but I already know it's amazing, because she is so cool and genuinely like a role model of mine. So yeah.
Love it. Okay. So keep listening to hear what she had to say. But before we get into that, I want to read a review because we've been slacking on reading the reviews, but we have a cute one that I went and read today when I was feeling like crap about myself. So anyway, so it says, love, love, love. I just discovered you ladies. In 2 days, I've listened to 20 something episodes. I've learned so many things and started following a lot of your guests. This is the best podcast I've heard in a long time. Thank you for all the tips. Definitely helpful for my small business. And then her Instagram username is @FancySociety19. She said, stay fancy, Janie, Janie, Jani, smiley face. So thank you.
We love you.
Janie? Janie? I'm sure it's Janie.
Yeah.
Janie?
I feel like it's Janie.
I'm so sorry.
Because I feel like it's like JC, but like Janie.
I feel the same way. But I thank you @FancySociety19. I know I'm pronouncing that right. Again, we love a rating and a review. We thrive off a rating and we live for a review. So if you guys are just sitting here and you're listening and you're like, I'm bored, I have something that you could do.
Guys,
you should leave a rating and a review. Remember, you can rate on Spotify. It literally takes -1 second. And same thing with rating on Apple and leaving a review. It'll take like 2 minutes and it'll boost our egos.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
You know, we do be sad sometimes. Mm-hmm. So help. Really.
Alex is like guilting everyone. Can you please help? No, guys, but seriously, if you enjoy the podcast, you do need to leave a rating or review because it really means a lot to us and it helps us and it helps more people find the podcast. So we appreciate it. But I guess we should go ahead and get into the episodes. You guys, I just lost all my words. So you guys can hear from Brittany.
Yay.
We are going to take a quick break to talk about this week's sponsor, Tailor Brands. So one thing we cover all the time on our show is how important it is for new businesses to have a strong brand and online presence. But how many of us actually know how to build a brand and online presence completely on our own? That is where Tailor Brands comes in. So Tailor Brands is an AI-driven platform that automatically gives you everything you need to launch a beautiful brand and successful online presence without having any previous design experience. How amazing is that? Once you create a logo with it, which literally takes about 5 minutes, your design theme is automatically integrated into a website, unlimited designs for social media, a digital business card, and even printed business cards and merch, and you can access all of it through the Tailor Brands platform. One of the most amazing things about this is that I know so many of you listening have such a passion for business, but design may just not be your forte, and this really solves that issue for you guys and makes everything so easy. The great thing about it is that everything takes a few minutes to set up, so you can have an entire online presence by the end of the day. And you can get 40% off if you go to tailorbrands.com and use our code aesthetic40. Again, that's tailorbrands.com and code aesthetic40 to create an online presence for your business for 40% off.
Hi, Brittany. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Yes, so happy to be here, guys. Thank you for having me.
Of course, we're so excited.
I'm so excited to have a SCAD alum. I feel like I don't even know how it feels. It's like, especially because with SCAD, I'm doing it online, so I never talk to anyone that goes to SCAD besides my classmates.
So, you have so much school pride, Alexis. I have none. Literally negative school pride. Well, I go to UF online and I already don't like UF because I'm an LSU fan. And then it's online. So I'm like, I don't have any school pride. I have a lot of school pride for my undergrad, but not for grad school. So.
I'm just here, literally.
I'm like, I'm just getting my degree. Can you guys please all like leave me alone? I love my professors, but it's a weird thing. But Alexis has a lot of school pride.
I have immense. Well, that also partly because my undergrad degree, I didn't give a shit about.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
like, I mean, I cared about it, but I didn't like love my school. I mean, it's okay. But SCAD, I like a lot. So
really,
yes,
that's good. I mean, like I felt like I was very neutral at SCAD. I don't know why. I was happy to be there, of course, but like I was just like, all right, yeah, I'm going to school and I'm going to do
going
like
to SCAD.
Yeah, like I'm going to, just do what I love to do.
It's
I'm just
school,
really here.
Yeah. See, that's kind of how I feel about UF. I'm like, they're just like a means to a degree for me. I don't feel like super like I don't hate my school, but I feel kind of neutral. Anyway, after we've discussed our schools for a minute, Brittany, why don't you go ahead and introduce everybody? Introduce yourself to everybody and tell us a little bit about your business for anybody who might not know.
All right. So you guys already know I am a SCAD alum. I majored in fashion design, so I have my BFA in that. I own a small business called Ani+Co. We sell candles and a little bit of bath goods. So we're located in Brooklyn, New York. I lived in Atlanta for a little bit. So we just moved here. Well, not just, but we lived here for 4 years, give or take. Yeah, that's really it. I do still work in fashion, so I'm a busy gal. I can't like seem to just like rest at all ever. I'm always doing something.
We know that all too well here. Yeah. I was actually talking to a friend the other day. It wasn't a friend, that's a lie, it was my therapist. I was talking to my therapist about how like my friends have said, like, I just can't picture you ever like not doing 1,000 things at once. I was like, that is just who I am. Even though when I'm doing it, I'm like, this is too much. I still can't.
Wait, but what is your sign? Maybe it has something to do with your sign.
I'm an Aquarius.
Maybe that's why. I'm a Capricorn, but like I just like to do stuff.
I'm an Aquarius, and then I'm a Leo rising, and then an Aries, whatever the Leo
moon.
What?
Yeah. No.
Aries moon. No.
Sun. Wait.
I don't ever know any of that. I just know what I am.
It goes sun sign,
sun, moon rising.
Moon rising.
I'm a Leo moon and then an Aries rising. Nobody cares. Anyway.
I still have to figure that out.
Love it. So what gave you the idea to start Ani+Co in the first place? Kind of where did that come from? How long have you been doing it? Kind of what's the story behind that?
So literally my senior collection, we're always tasked at SCAD to like, complete all this lump sum of like grand work within like a very short period of time. Very challenging. But during that process, I started realizing what I was connecting to, which was like nature and like my culture. My background is Caribbean. So my mom is from Trinidad and my dad's from Haiti. And I never really like tapped into the culture really. I just knew that was my background, but I never knew like who I was. So my senior year, my collection was it had nothing to do with my culture. Let me just say that now. But it was mainly inspired by nature and influenced by like Japanese like fashion and like Japanese like apparel. So I started like getting fascinated with like trees and like there's this, I can't remember the name of the tree, but there's this tree in Atlanta that I was just so in love with. And every year at fall, it would just start peeling and peeling and peeling. I'm like, that's so cool. Like I never knew like, I don't know anything about trees. Nature, like I'm not like, yeah, exactly. It's just so beautiful to see like stuff that just happens naturally that people don't really like pay attention to all the time. So that kind of sparked my interest into like nature and just being like a naturalista is what I like to call myself. So after my senior collection, I started diving deeper into like plants and like certain things that like benefit like our body in comparison to like what we use in the stores. And I was like, what can I do with this that like I kind of gravitate to in my home that I could kind of like translate into my own like brand or whatever that might look like. So I started testing candles and I started testing like soaps and like different things, and candles was like the first thing that kind of like stuck with me. I obviously love candles. I worked at a boutique, so that's another thing that kind of influenced it because there were candles there, and I'm like, "Ooh, this is fun. This is cool. Like, I like this." And I literally made it my own. The brand overall is based around nature, so a lot of the fragrances that I offer are inspired by the ocean or my culture, or like just certain things that I cross every day, like literally, especially here in New York, like it's busy streets all the time. So like, I may see like something that somebody's wearing, or like a color that may influence like a fruit or whatever, that I kind of want to translate into a candle. Yeah. So that's how it started.
So I don't remember, we recorded the intro earlier and I don't remember if I said this, but I found you through like talk basically that was through SCAD. And I vaguely remember that you were talking about like when you're creating these scents that you use a lot of memory based, and that you want like the customer to kind of have that elicit a memory. How do you kind of go about doing that?
So it's really challenging. When I first started, I did a lot of custom pieces, or like custom just orders in general that were like based on like certain scents. So let's just say like you were like, oh, my grandma, she smells like lilies, but like not just like any typical lily. It's like lily with lemon, or like something that's, and that's where like I would get the motivation, or like the mood to like kind of create that sense. So a lot of my fragrances, again, too, this is like a SCAD thing. We were always taught to like have a mood board, and I kind of took that with me in creating candles. So like every single scent has a mood board that kind of translates like the feel of it, and like what you're supposed to kind of like, everybody feels and smells differently. So where you're going to kind of take that in as when you burn the candle, or like when you experience the whole collection. I like to evoke a lot of scents that remind me of certain places, or gift that to people, because people are like, oh, I've never been to New York. What does New York smell like? I'm not gonna say garbage, but
hot garbage.
and Subway.
Right?
Dead rat.
Like I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm gonna try to evoke
the good part.
The good parts of New York.
Right.
Yeah, certain countries, like the beach, all of that. Like I try to like evoke in my sense that you're kind of in that mood, and you could literally like reclaim your peace within the moment. So
I love that.
Definitely.
I feel like
when we were talking, or I was not talking, I was listening at SCAD, but you were talking about how like it's not just like lemon, like it's not like you smell it like, yep, that's a lemon. Like there's like, going back almost to your final project of like the layers between it, it's a deeper meaning almost behind this even though it's a candle that you light, there's more of like a purpose behind it, which I really love.
Yeah, which you'll see that with most candle brands too. A lot of the time, like you may smell like one signature like note, but most of the time, a lot of people don't know that candles have different layers to them. So like there's a top, a middle, and a base. And that can range from anything. So like your top could be a lemon, and your middle could be like a cedar wood, and your base could be like a sage, so like it may not smell like all of it, but it's in there.
Yeah.
So
I love that. And I feel like you said, you're creating a mood board, you're kind of trying to like tie things to a memory or like a feeling. So I feel like the process must be pretty long for you, like testing things and making sure you get them right. So kind of describe the process of, okay, you have an idea, you want to make a New York candle that doesn't smell like garbage. Okay, then how do you get to the, like what's the process between that idea and then getting to the actual candle that you're selling?
So it's funny you say that. So I'm going to actually flash some candles I'm testing. So this is a sneak peek. So you guys get the exclusive. Just say that. I'm rebranding the whole brand. I think I mentioned it at SCAD, like the little chat, but this is what they'll look like. There's no label on them yet. So we're still like designing, but I'm either deciding between a wooden wick or a double wick. So just to give you context on that, they both work great. Like they both melt evenly. They're doing what they need to do. But when I come to conclusions like this, or when I have to test like this, it's for a lot of things. So this is really just for wicks and the wax itself. The wax is different in this one. I literally have jars and jars everywhere. Like they're everywhere throughout the house. So I test for how strong a scent is, how even the wax is like boiling, how even the wax is melting. Yeah, and what the like how strong the actual fragrance is, because different waxes kind of like perform differently. But when it comes to me trying new scents, it has to do with percentage of like how much I'm pouring in my studio. So a lot of the time, some makers, you'll see like some candles, like some soy wax candles, for example. Some of them are like lumpy at the top.
Yeah.
Let me show you. I'll show you. I don't know if you could see it, but this is kind of lumpy at the top. You can see it in there. There's nothing wrong with it. Like if ever you buy like a soy, there's nothing wrong with it. It's totally natural. It's just something that happens because it's a natural based candle. But with fragrances, that matters. So if I put too much oil in there, it'll get lumpier and you'll start to see like different holes everywhere. So that's kind of like a part of the testing. And then I always test like, if I want this to smell like more citrusy, I'll play around with like different citrus elements aside from lemon and grapefruit. I might do like a peach in there or like a bergamot, like some other element that I can mix to make it to make the impression like stand out like what I need it to be.
Yeah,
so
rather than just pouring more oil of what you already had. Yeah.
Exactly. Like kind of just taking what I like from the base and just like infusing it with whatever it needs. That's basically it. It's definitely like more than 5.
How long does that process like take usually from like I have an idea, I'm now selling it?
So usually this phase right now is different. So I'll talk about what I'm doing like currently with like everything that I'm doing on the website now. It usually takes, for a new scent, it'll take me like almost a month. Like I try to keep like 2.5 weeks. When I first started out, it was way longer because I was using smaller things in a very slower, like a much slower method. Now I have like a huge wax melter that just cracks out like a bunch of candles. So like I could really test as many as I want in one kill. So it's much faster, but typically like 2 weeks, sometimes 3, just depending like what the goal is, like what the intent is. And if I don't get it right, I just kind of keep testing it in the background and just kind of like put out what is absolutely necessary for whatever launch I'm doing. So
yeah, definitely.
I love that. I'm sure you constantly have candles burning. Your fiance's probably
literally always.
Another one?
Let me tell you, I might as well just like leave one in the subway and like everywhere I go because I have like that, like they're everywhere.
All your gifts, you're like, I got you this candle. I hope you like it.
It's so embarrassing because they're like, what are you getting me this year? Candle.
It's an exclusive and it's not sold because it was a test. Anyway, I hope you like it.
Literally, exactly. Sorry, friends and family, you know what your Christmas gifts are this year. Surprise.
You know, honestly,
I love that. I would absolutely take that.
Honestly.
Yeah, definitely. So kind of like backtracking back to the beginning of Ani+Co, what was kind of that? I mean, I know we talked about like the inspiration behind it, but what was that like first few steps of, okay, this is actually going to be a thing and like I'm going to actually do this? What did that kind of look like?
So it's interesting because if you ever want to start a business, like you're going to be in the same mindset when I explain this. So I never really knew what I wanted to do with it. Like I knew that I liked it. Like I was in the headspace of like, is this a hobby? Like, do I want to make this a brand? Like, what do I want to actually do? So aside from fashion, I love fashion. And this is kind of like, I have like a love and hate for fashion for a lot of different things, but that's why I wanted to have my own thing. So, and a lot of that kind of like I learned in college, like it's so crazy. At the time when I started the brand, it was solely a hobby. I was like, okay, cool. Like this is fun. I know how to do it. Great. Then I was like, no, but I can make this something bigger because I have a purpose, you know, and like, how great would it feel for me to actually have something of my own, you know, like that's kind of what motivated me. And then I started getting into the fashion world and like working in the industry, and I've been doing in the industry for like almost 6 years. And I'm still pushing my brand, and like I still don't see it as a hobby because you know, like there's just more to it. Like I literally have like my own avenue even though the field is so saturated as it is. So starting out, I always felt like, okay, yes, you're natural. Yes, this is your reasoning or whatever, but do you see that in the market? Like, how can you give that back to people? Because people are just so used to like buying what they buy. Like they go get Dove, they go get whatever soaps and candles that they're used to getting, which is fine. But what's missing in general, I don't see a lot of like educational factors with that. Which is kind of what sets me apart, and what I've been kind of like trying to work on and highlight with the brand in general. Being natural, being sustainable, because people just, it's hard to be sustainable. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
But when you're, like when you have a goal and like you really want people to like hear you, like you're gonna keep doing it at all costs. So that's kind of like what motivated me and kept me.
Give a message.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I love that. And I think it's a major point that like not only is being sustainable hard, but it's also more expensive, and you have to like, it's going to take you way more time to make sure that not only do like your sources, like, maybe your packaging or whatever, it does not only does it just say it's sustainable, is it actually sustainable?
Exactly.
Because I feel like that's something that I've seen a lot like recently. This is kind of like another different, it's not exactly the same, but like things that say they're like Target clean that aren't actually clean. They're just Target clean.
Yep.
So like things like that, I feel like you just have to pay like close attention to.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But
so
then that's like people like like I said, the educational factor of that. Like when you go to these websites and you see like Target Clean or whatever, and you go to the actual source and they don't explain to you, or they don't have like videos or whatever, you're kind of like, oh, but are you like
exactly
how basically proving your, your point.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like I've like you said, having that purpose to start is what kind of keeps you going and all that stuff. So I love that. And I feel like that's obviously really important. Okay. So talking a little bit about SCAD, I love asking these questions about SCAD. That's what who doesn't go there. I'm like me, the person who does not go to SCAD. So you said what you majored in. Kind of what were the biggest takeaways from school, just in general? Obviously not everybody listening's interested in SCAD, but for people who are like, okay, I want to start my own business, but like, or maybe deciding, should I go to college? Shouldn't I go to college? Kind of what are the big takeaways from your program and going to college that you've carried into your business?
So, that's a great question. That's great. I know I mentioned like mood boards and stuff, but I feel like SCAD is, because we're so crammed to like learn so much in a short period of time. It was super challenging, and like, oh my gosh, I lost a lot of sleep. It is a lot. It's I'm still here, girl. I'm alive, living. But it was so challenging because like you had to cram all this information, and then you're like, oh damn, I have to find a job. Oh damn, like I have to do all this stuff. But the biggest takeaway from school in general, I knew I wanted to go to college for a lot of different reasons. My parents, my brothers, I'm the only one that actually went to college, got a degree or whatever, thank the Lord. Awesome. But I wanted to kind of like not only give that to myself, but like to my family, and like make my mom proud, aside from everything else I love, and like really challenge myself. I lived in Florida. This is like a little backstory, I'm getting there, but I lived in Florida, and like I didn't want to be stuck, like I really just didn't want to be like there. And like no shade to my friends, I love my friends and my family down there, but like they're stuck. And like they don't see like the rest of the world. Like I'm so thankful I got to see Atlanta, Savannah, like all these places. I'm here in New York now. This is actually my hometown, but brings me back to SCAD. I took a lot of the process element of SCAD into what I'm doing in my business. So the mood boards, the time frame. I'm so good with time management. It's insane. Like I'm literally, my agenda is filled with so much stuff, but like I'm able to pace out of my head. I have a real job that's, thank God, flexible. I usually work from home. But even that, like, okay, at 7 o'clock, I'm going across the street to make candles. At 8 o'clock, I have to go package orders. At this, and like I'm able to like do that. And part of that, I probably wouldn't really be able to do if SCAD wasn't a part of that.
Yeah.
Because I had to like, like you would know, like SCAD, you have to like read, you have to study, you have an exam, then you have to go to this online class, and then you have to go over here and buy some supplies and do, like you're constantly back and forth, and then you lose sleep. But like now in my adult life, I do sleep, but still, like, I'm able to have that time managed.
For those of you who don't know, SCAD is different, where we do quarters, not semesters. So it's 10 weeks of a lot of
work. My semester is 16 weeks, I think. So that's like literally almost like cut in half. I could not.
Yeah,
handle that.
It's a
so
lot.
Much.
Yeah, and I think I was working a full-time job while I was at SCAD. So I'm
oh my god.
Dude, I was doing
right now I'm in grad school for SCAD, and I'm doing 3 classes and working part-time 2 different jobs.
Yeah, so like it's a normal thing though.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Yeah, no, that's literally just how the world works. But I guess kind of on that same vein, obviously, like we are talking about, there's a lot for you to handle working a traditional job, like a 9 to 5, and running your business. So what are kind of your tips for managing your time, I guess, kind of that you learned at SCAD, but also that you've just learned yourself? Like, how do you keep yourself accountable?
You have to like know yourself, first of all. Like, it's funny that you say that. I'm sorry, I'm throwing shade. I'm not going to say the name, but there's somebody that worked at my real job at an assistant level that really did not know how to manage their time and be honest with themselves. And that's like red flag times 1,000. And I say that because it's like, as an individual, how much you can handle. Like, let's be honest. If you have a wedding to go to, and you have, I don't know, an order to get out, and you have school or homework or whatever, which one is going to slack off, like out of all those tasks.
Right.
When you downplay yourself and you're like, oh, I can do it. Cool. Overachiever. I'm here for it. But at the same time, like, come on. Like,
are you actually going to? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I say, literally knowing yourself, like, what you could handle. If you don't know, then I'm sorry, you gotta you really have to
you just gotta work on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, because if you don't know, like, you're really just setting yourself up for failure.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I feel like being honest with yourself is important too, because like you said, it can be really easy, especially like I did this in college all the time, where I would just sign up for 1,000 bajillion things and convince myself I can do it. And I think it's super easy in college because you're like, okay, it's building my resume. Like, I need to do all these things. When in reality, I've learned that it's so much better to do the things that you can do well and not a bunch of things like half-ass. So I feel like being honest with yourself and being like, okay, these are the things that I have to get done,
Absolutely. Even setting priority. Like, there's nothing wrong with doing as much as you want to do. It's just like, what is a priority? That's another part of the process.
What is okay to slack? Because like, maybe like, like for me, I mean, it sucks, but like for me, I'm doing too much right now. So like, yes, it sucks, but like, I don't be leaving the apartment, like, and that sucks. But like right now, it's 10 weeks. Like, I can deal with 10 weeks to be able to graduate for my master's degree, like whatever.
Right.
But I also think another point of like being honest with yourself, I think a lot of us think like, oh, my employer wants this, of course, like in the traditional job sense, but like my employer wants me to do X, Y, and Z plus 1,000. And like, that's what they want from me, or that's what they want to hear. But I think in reality, an employer, like a manager or a boss or whatever, wants you to be honest. And like, they want they would much rather have you say like, to be honest, I think that might be too much. Can we zero it back down to like 80% instead of that 100? Because then you're saying, okay, I can manage this and I will 100% get this to you, rather than being like, yeah, totally. And then you half-ass it or don't get it in time or whatever.
Yeah.
So what's crazy is I'm so glad you said that. So the guy, the assistant, we just let him go. Or he let himself go. Let me just say that. However,
I just gotta say, I'm not surprised it's a guy. I mean, we do be men haters on here just sometimes, but like girls get their shit done.
They just
let's talk about it because it's not that difficult.
I'm just saying.
Right.
No, I trust me. As soon as he left, people were like, well, he's a guy.
Whatever, he can leave.
It's so true though. But
Yeah.
I say that to say because he had such difficult. I literally would tell him because I'm getting ready to be a manager at my job. So I was getting ready to tell him like, hey, I know I'm going to be your boss soon. I need you to tell me what you can handle. Like, seriously,
right.
you don't have to put up this front and tell me you can do it all because I can't even do it all. And I'm telling you that. Like,
yeah. And I feel like it's also really important to, when you're running your own business, obviously there's not a manager who's going to be like, are you getting your things done? So I think it's like, don't give yourself an unrealistic launch date if you know that you can't do it. Don't give yourself, don't say, I need to make 100 candles for this launch. If that's not something you can do, just make less, give yourself realistic goals. And I feel like that's something that is so hard when you're running your own business, especially if you're doing it full-time and really need to like make money off of it. You're thinking like, the more I do, the more money I'll make. Like I've got to keep going. But I think it's becomes unrealistic. And then you just aren't meeting the standards that need to be met for you to have good customer service, for people to be happy with your shipping times, or for there not to be like issues with orders. And obviously that's just a product-based business, but stretching yourself too thin is only going to hurt literally everybody.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah. In a traditional work sense, as well as like when you're your own boss, which is obviously much harder. But I want to hear kind of like what a regular day looks like for you. So like how, if somebody's like, oh, I work full-time too, kind of how do you make it work? Just a normal day, even though no days are normal. What is your typical schedule?
Never normal.
Never.
So typical schedule, I'm going to give you like my actual go to work schedule instead of work from home, because work from home is a little flexible. So I usually work from 9 to 6, but if I go into the office, I'm in the office from like 9 to 3, like for fitting, doing all that, whatever. Usually what my day looks like is I commute, take the train. It's shame on me, but I literally have no time to like feed myself breakfast. Like it's sickening.
I feel you.
But like, I'm also the type of person where when I wake up too early, I'm like, but I'm not hungry yet. Like
Same.
I
get like, sick. I feel sick. Yeah.
I feel like gross if I eat. Yeah.
It's so weird. And then when I get to work, I'm like, okay, like 10, 11, like breakfast meal.
Yeah.
So I'm at work, I'll do a fitting. But if I ever need to step out early, like luckily my boss is very like, thank God, flexible. I can just say, hey, I'm leaving an hour early. I have an order to work on or whatever the situation is. But mostly I'm there until 3. It takes me like roughly like 2 hours to get back home because like, gosh, commuting here is like, it's horrible. So ass. Like I hate it so much. It's the worst thing in the world because you get a mixture of kids on the train, people come from work, and then there's me, and I'm just like holding on, like smush next to everybody. Yeah. So yeah, that's like my typical day. But when I leave work, I usually have a plan of how much I can handle before I go to bed. Bedtime is about like 10, 11, just depending on what I have to do. I usually make a goal to like come straight here at this is like my office home. I'll look at like any pending orders, any pending wholesale orders, write those down. Then I'll go into my studio, which is across the street, and I'll either work on current orders or prep for future orders. And then that way, when I have the weekend or a work from home day, I could just go in and like kind of multitask between the two, either making candles or packaging candles. But yeah, usually I kind of like, I don't like to set up too much after work because I know I'm going to be tired from a fitting. I work off of like, when you're around too many people, you kind of take on their energy. You're just tired. So I try not to like overwhelm myself like as soon as I leave work, but that's like typically what my days look like.
Yeah. And we talked in last week's episode about like knowing your energy levels and like following your energy levels. I feel like that's important too. Like we're talking about knowing how much you can handle. Also, like, knowing if you have to go into work, maybe don't try to do a wholesale order. Like just, that's it's not going to happen. And then you're just going to go to bed and be like, I never want to do that again. And I feel like burning yourself out is like, burnout happens all the time, but clearly you've done a good job of not burning yourself out because you've been doing this for a while.
It's crazy. I tell you, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But luckily I have, it's nice to be a small business owner because you have that flexibility to communicate with customers like a real person. You don't have to be so like you know,
this like
corporate or
weird
whatever.
Corporate, yeah. Right.
Exactly. I literally was supposed to ship out a wholesale order yesterday. It's shipping tomorrow. But I've been working with this wholesaler for like 2 years now. So I'm like, hey, no, it's supposed to ship Wednesday. Guess what? Friday.
It's late.
Yeah.
Right.
It's late.
Yeah.
You'll get
And
it next week.
again, that's with like the honesty. Like people appreciate it. They'd rather that than you be like, I
Forgot or
somebody else at work did something and then anyway, it's just better to just be like, listen, I'm sorry.
this
I'm tired.
It just got crazy and now I'm going to ship it on Friday. Yeah. And people are really understanding.
Or I'm good for it too. I'll either like, if it's a customer, I'll give them an extra candle or like a little 2 ounce something, like just saying, hey, I know this is late. Sorry.
Yeah.
Won't happen again.
Apologies.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like customer service is also like something that's really important as a small business owner too.
Yeah.
And like being honest with that and all of that stuff is always good to do, because then when those mistakes or slip ups happen, then people are forgiving because you're nice.
Yeah, for sure. I'm so nice. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how nice I am. Like I've had some mean people and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to block you because I could say some mean things. I really can, but I won't.
I love it.
That's a professional queen.
Yes.
Okay, so finally, our last question before we move on to random questions. So if someone is maybe, let's say, like leaving college or just in really any stage of their life, and they have an idea for a business, but they don't know where to start, what would your advice be for that person?
Oh my God, research and try everything you can, because that's what I did. I have friends that are starting small businesses and like they're so overwhelmed because like there's just so much information and like I get it, because you don't know where to start, you don't know what's right, you don't know what's wrong, you just know you want to try it. I would say research, like no matter what it is, whether it's like a podcast, a candle business, I don't know, you want to be a lawyer, whatever, like research everything. Yeah, if you could talk to people, that's great. I have like a whole network of like different makers aside from candles that I'm just friends with, because I may be doing something that I'm lacking on and they're doing something I like, and I'd be like, hey, like how do you do this?
Exactly.
Just to know. And like I think people are intimidated by that because they're like, oh, everybody's mean, but like
people are so much more willing to talk to you. Like even in the mean corporate world, like people are actually nicer than you think. And there are some jerks, but like people also, they started at some point.
So
they,
for sure.
They understand that and they want to help you most of the time. There are assholes, but
most of the time. The company I work for now is a startup brand. And like that's part of the reason why I wanted to work there, because they're a startup just like I'm a startup.
Yeah,
and I wanted to see what they're doing. I literally get like, it's very, God, I'm not even gonna say the name of the brand, but it's very like maker-esque. Like we're doing a lot in the office.
Everyone's doing everything. Like everything's happening. You can see it all.
Yes, you have to wear every single hat in the book. But it doesn't look like that on Instagram. It looks like we're a big company, but we're not, so like I like seeing, that behind the scenes, and I ask questions with certain people. I connect with a lot of different people. So that's like my biggest advice, like research, try stuff out. When I started candles, I got a whole kit just to see if I would even like it. And I did. And then boom, I made it my own. So
exactly. I love it. I feel like trying things is really valuable too, because everybody, like you said, you have to get that edge. So, ask people what they do, grab a bunch of things, and then try everything out and see like what fits for you, because obviously like you need to figure out what's going to set you apart. But love that advice. Okay, so let's do random questions. Today's are weird. I love them. So the first one's really specific. It is, what is your favorite step in your skincare routine? And Brittany, you go first. I know you mentioned you're on your skincare grind because you're going to get married soon.
Okay, yes, I'm getting married this year in November. Woo-woo.
So excited.
Time is flying. And thank you. I know nothing about skincare. I literally thought it was just like wash your face, pat it, lotion, that's it.
Hope for the best,
It was literally. But I actually work with somebody that is She's super into, she has beautiful skin. Like it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like I asked her where her routine was and it kind of inspired me. So she has like a really extensive one where it involves like what you eat. I can't do that. Like I love candy and I love like, like I'm into all of that. So I don't know about food, but my typical routine is I use a brand called Mel, sorry. And I also use another brand called Tula, which is it Tula?
Yeah, that exists.
It's Tula. It's like teal. It's a nice brand. But I use Tula because I have really bad like breakouts like once a month. So I use that for like my acne and like spots or whatever, but I also have like dark spots. So I use another brand called Berry Clear. So what that looks like is with Mel is like my clean and hydrate. So I have a toner, I have a face wash, then I have a toner, and then I have a serum, and then I have like a actual hydrating cream situation. But then there's a SPF 30
ordeal. You have a whole thing.
You can't forget that part.
yeah. But I only use that if I go outside.
Fair enough.
Okay. So for me, never.
Inside. Yes, for you, you're good. For the dark, and then like my last step is like if I have like any acne scars or whatever, I'll use like a serum called Berry Clear that just kind of rids that and lightens it up. I had like a really bad one on my chin that's getting lighter, so it's working.
Love it.
But that's like basically it. I try not to go any like 4 steps is like 4 to 5 is like my max. Like anything after that, I start forgetting like the order.
Yep. Some people have like 10 step. It's so crazy.
Can't do it.
I know it's insane. I'm very simple because my dermatologist told me to be. So I said, okay, but I use, so for a while I used the Sunday Riley, I don't remember what it's called, but it was the moisturizer and it smells like almonds. That's all I can remember about it. But it did cost so much money. And I was like, I can't be spending this money anymore. Like, I don't have the money for this. So
for real.
Yeah, it's skincare is next level. But
it's so expensive.
I recently got a while back, I was like, okay, let me try this big ass CeraVe moisturizing lotion. Like, those big, they're huge. It is amazing. And I have acne as well. And I use like prescription cream. And it dries me out.
Your
really,
skin
really
looks great.
Thank you. It depends on the time of the month, honestly.
Same.
It was just, but yeah. So the CeraVe moisturizing lotion has replaced my expensive Sunday Riley. So if you are looking for a good moisturizer, if you use any acne products or just have dry skin, then that is my recommendation. And that is my favorite part of my skincare routine. Or honestly, my Lineage lip sleeping mask. It's not really skincare, but it kind of is. That's probably my favorite part. I love it. It smells so good. Alexis,
so short and sweet.
Yeah, I'm very easy.
So for me, I kind of have a similar in some senses, but I think longtime listeners probably remember in like last summer, I had that whole weird skin thing where I was having to go to the dermatologist like multiple times a month. It was really annoying. But
your skin looks great also. I'm like, wait.
It took a
She's
while
made it
to
back.
get here.
She's made it back. Yeah.
Yeah. I had like a weird, like it was swollen. It was gross. But so since then, I also have like dermatologist stuff that's like really, it's like about moisturizing, and that stuff is also kind of like, I mean, it's a prescription, but some of the products are kind of expensive. But I was using like Origins moisturizer, but that again is very expensive. And what ended up happening was Austin, my fiance, is so bad with skincare. Like he uses this like, it's basically like acid for like his face wash. Like it's straight up like burns you. Like I'm like, don't use that. Like your face is like red when you like don't do
Does
that.
it not
the
burn?
acid face
like,
wash.
Exactly.
No, it's literally it's like salicylic acid for like acne.
Oh
but
no,
like,
that's horrible for your skin.
But it's like,
it's
horrible. Yeah. And so, anyways, he also doesn't use a moisturizer. So I was like, all right,
my fiance too.
Yeah.
These men, I swear to God,
don't get it.
They get in the shower and then they have perfect skin. I'm like,
they're like
what?
water.
I'm like
glowing skin, long eyelashes.
Oh God, the eyelashes. The eyelashes.
I thought he was out getting me dinner, to be honest, but he's apparently still home, and he just texted me. It's doctor recommended, whatever, Austin. That doctor's
His acid
stupid.
skincare. Anyway, Alexis, what's your favorite? Not Austin's favorite.
Okay, well, I'm getting there. So
okay.
he bought this Cerave moisturizer, and he was like, "This is stupid," and didn't use it. So then we had this huge thing of Cerave. So I started using it, and then I actually liked it, and it's like
so good.
cheap. It doesn't
it
like
lasts
mess
like
with
300 years too. Like
no, I've had it for
like probably like 3 months at this point, and it doesn't even, it doesn't look like I made it down.
But no, it's huge. It's not that expensive for like the amount that you're getting.
It's awesome.
And it doesn't mess with my like dermatology issues. So
right.
I
hear a lot of good things about that brand though.
Oh, it's so good.
Definitely.
It's very just like simple, and it doesn't have any sense, but
and maybe my next may have
it's
to transition
so cheap
over.
It's just so cheap. It's so good.
Yeah.
Okay, so last and final question is, and this one needs a little bit of explanation. Alexis wrote it, and I looked at her and I was like, Alexis, what does this mean? So it's, what is your favorite spring scent, but not like your favorite spring candle or your favorite spring perfume. It's like, what's your favorite scent that reminds you of spring?
Yeah, like when you think of spring, like what comes to mind? Not like if you were at a candle store, what would you buy?
Yeah.
Brittany, you can start.
Okay. So this is gonna be really, it's gonna sound weird, but I have this thing with honey. I don't know why. It doesn't necessarily like too much remind me of spring, but like I guess because like flowers and stuff are like blooming, especially here in New York City. Like you go to the park and like you smell like the fresh cut grass and like pretty flowers, but like you also see like bees and like I don't know. I just feel like it starts to smell like a mixture of honey and a mixture of fresh cut grass.
Yeah, I love
that. Makes sense.
Yeah,
you know, like
I love it.
Not like the muggy kind though, like fresh, literally fresh grass.
Yeah.
I think that would be me.
It's the best. That's the best. Yeah. Mine is, and this is kind of summer too, but for me, I think of spring because spring is usually the first time that I go to the beach, but I really like the smell of like sunscreen in the air. But like, not like that, not when you're spraying sunscreen on yourself, but like, I feel like, especially when I go like for a walk or something, people have started to decide that it's time to use sunscreen again, and they always smell faintly of sunscreen. I just think it smells so good.
Yeah, I actually like that too. I don't mind that.
Yeah, the Replica Beach Walk perfume, it's like slightly sunscreeny, but like a little like nice fresh way. As well, a little oceany too.
Yeah. It smells not in like an overwhelming way.
I love it. It smells so good. That's
but it also puts you in the mood. It's like, ooh, like, do I need to go to the beach?
Should I book a trip? Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Alexis, what's yours? I feel like I can guess what yours is, but I don't
know. You can guess.
Alexa, stop.
Literally every time that she says my name.
She just wants to be a co-host on the podcast.
Yeah, she's our third co-host.
She's crazy.
Okay, so my parents, I live in Vermont. I still live here. I was born and raised here, and my parents live in like the country and on like a dirt road. And when I was in high school, like my parents refused to get air conditioning. So annoying. But basically once it started to get to, it was like that weird like transitional period where in the spring, where like in the winter, obviously in Vermont, no windows are going to be open. But then in the summer, we have like a million fans because it's so hot outside that you don't want to like open the window. But in the spring, that was the time that I could open the window. And so I would leave the window like wide open while I was sleeping, so it wasn't too hot. And just waking up in the morning after it had rained, and like it's literally
that's a good one.
And like my parents' house is like in the woods.
I want to live in your Vermont dream life.
Yeah, like there's no sounds of like cars. It's like literally
that's
like
peace.
I would wake up. This sounds like I'm lying. I'm not. I would wake up and like peek my head out, and there had been like a couple times where like a couple deer were like in our yard, and it's like and I'm like, oh, okay,
that's so nice.
Yep, I get it. I get why my parents moved here. But also I don't want to live there. So
amazing. Okay, well,
That was a great episode. Thank you so much for coming on, Brittany. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you, where they can buy your candles, all that good stuff.
All right. So I am I have a Twitter, but we're going to talk about Instagram today because Twitter is a little not active. You could follow Ani+Co at ANIAND.co. That's also the website name. So www.ANIAND.co. We're not a .com. So
love it. I love it.
That.
Amazing. Well, thank you guys for listening. Be sure to leave us a rating and review on wherever you listen to your podcasts and subscribe to keep up with our weekly episodes.
And then follow us on TikTok at Check Your Aesthetic and over on Instagram at Check Your Aesthetic Podcast. And our personal accounts, Katie Creative Co., Alexis Adams Aldrich, and Ani+Co. And we will talk to you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.